Hey everyone, I hope you're having a good week so far. So yesterday we had the quiz, and I actually, because we're going to go through quite a bit today, I wouldn't have time to discuss that with you today. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow or on Thursday, because Thursday we have double, right? So we're starting a new chapter. It's called Statistical Analysis, if you wanted to make a title page. And I'm sorry if there's any background noises. There's construction going on in my area. So it's statistical analysis, and there are actually two parts. We're doing the first part first. So the first part is single variable data. This is the first section. Second section is called bivariate data. Bivariate data. So if you want to make a title page, this is the time for you to do so. Okay, so 901. Also, for this whole single variable data topic, we're going to be mainly use the booklet that I upload on Trello. So even though it says 901, it's the same format as signpost questions. We're actually doing questions from the booklet. So make sure that you're not confused about that, and I'll keep reminding you whenever I can. Okay, so I think 901, most of it is just revision for you. First of all, what does single variable data mean? So single means only one, right? Variable is something that changes. So say in y equals mx plus b, x and y, they're variables because they change. So single variable data is the study of the distribution of a certain variable. So I guess that doesn't really make too much sense, right? Because it's too academic per se. But then let's just look at two examples. So first of all, how students did in a test. How do we record students' performance? So say for the test you just had, how do I record how well you did? I first of all have to record how many marks each single one of you got, right? So let's say in this group there are, say 5 students. First student got 46, second one 68, I'm just making up numbers, and then 75. Let's say we have another 32, and then let's give a 95. So I'll record these 5 numbers, and it will give me a rough idea of how I've been teaching. It will also give you an idea of how you've been doing, right? So all of your performance gets condensed into this number, a score. Secondly, how much a casual worker earned every week? So how do you think this could be counted? So this is how much a person has earned. So obviously this is money, right? So let's say my first number is 250. If I record 250, what's the unit for it? It's dollars, right? So I'm recording the monetary values. So $250, let's say the second one earned $150, $350, 500, 670. So I'm just making up numbers now, yeah? So these are called scores. These numbers, they're all called scores. Alright, so on basis of the data that we have collected, we can actually analyze them. Right, that's why it's called statistical analysis, because we're actually analyzing and interpreting what the data means. So the first one, range. I'm sure you've seen it before. So it's the difference between the largest and the smallest number in a set of data. So it's a method of measuring the what? So we're looking at the range, right? So for example, if I say for the TOEFL test, what's the lowest number? The lowest number is 32. What's the highest number? It's 95, right? So the range of this set of data will just be the highest minus the lowest. So this will give me 63. What does that mean? It means the worst performance and the best performance, the difference is 63 marks. That's a big difference, right? When I say that, I mean the smallest number and the largest number are very far apart. So it's actually a measure of the spread of the data. So how spread out your data is. So the bigger the range, the bigger the spread. Because range and spread, they're exactly the same. Alright, so that's range. And also, I guess it's probably not a bad time to tell you two things. So the largest number we also call a maximum. Maximum stands for the biggest number. And minus the minimum. Minimum means the smallest number. That's equal to the range. Okay, so second part is central tendencies. So you have mean, median, and mode. These three things. And I'm sure that you have seen them before. Alright? So the formal definitions are as follows. So for mean, the mean is the statistical term most thought of when the word of average is used. So mean and average to me exactly the same thing. And the mean of a set of scores is calculated by adding all the scores up and dividing this sum by the number of scores. And also, see how here with the scores I have a small number and then bigger, but then smaller. This is not in order yet, right? But whenever you do questions, you make sure that you put everything into ascending first. Ascending means from small to big. So make sure you put numbers, you put scores into ascending order. Because ascending means going up, right? So ascending order means from small to large. Okay, so as you can see, 3, 7, 8, 9, 9. That's from small to big. That's ascending. So find the mean of the scores. How do I find mean? The definition already tells me that, right? It says you need to add all the scores up. Alright, let's do that part first. So if I add all the scores up, I'll get 3 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 9. Right? I'm just adding everything up. And you need to divide this sum by the number of scores. So however many scores there are, I divide this thing by it. And there are 5 numbers, so I'm dividing this whole thing by 5. And this will give me the answer. And let's see how much it is. So that's 3 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 9 divided by 5. That will give me 7.2. So that means the average, the mean for this set of data is 7.2. Secondly, mode. So mode is the score that occurs most often. So the biggest frequency, right? So for example, in the previous set of data in example 1, the mode will be 9 because it occurs twice. Everything else, there's no repetition. And the median of a set of data is the middle score. So once you have already, that's on the basis of once you have arranged the scores into ascending, you find the middle number, right? So the formula for finding the position of where the median is n plus 1 over 2. So n stands for how many numbers there are in a set of data. I know for a small set of data, for example, example 2, you can sort of just by observation find out which number is the median. And you will see that 6 is it's right in the middle because there are 3 numbers on each side, right? You can actually do that for a small amount of number. So let's say method 1 is just by observation. You can see that the median is 6. But if I want to use method 2, which is the formula, we'll find the position. So first let's find the position. It's n plus 1 over 2. How many numbers are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 7 of them. So the position is going to be 7 plus 1 over 2. That will give me 4. What does 4 mean? It doesn't mean the median is 4. It means the median is the 4th number in this set of data. So you count 1, 2, 3, 4 from left to right. The 4th number is 6. So I know by observation when the data is a small set, it's easier. But when it gets to, say, 30 numbers, it's probably better if you use method 2. And you need to know this formula. Example 3, find a median of this set of data. So let's use method 1 first. By observation. I can't, even though I see that if I choose this number, there's going to be 3 numbers on the left and 4 numbers on the right. That's incorrect. It's not exactly in the middle, right? But then if I choose this 7, there's going to be 4 on the left and 3 on the other side. It's also not in the middle. So in this case, you need to draw a middle line and you get the average of the 2 numbers right next to this line. So in this case, the median is 7 plus 7 over 2 because I'm getting the average, right? Remember, the average is the sum of the two of however many numbers divided by the amount of scores. So 14 over 2, that's 7. So that's the median by method 1. By method 2, we need to find a position first. Position is n plus 1 over 2. So how many scores are there? There are 8 scores, right? So 8 plus 1 over 2. It will give me 4.5. What does it mean when the position is the 4.5? It's right in the middle of 2 things. It's right in the middle of the 4th number and the 5th number, right? So you need to, once again, just find the average of these 2 numbers. So I see the 4th number is 7. The 5th number is also 7. So the median is, once again, the average of the 4th and 5th, 7 plus 7 over 2. So that's also going to give you 7. Okay, example 4. This is where you have to use this set of score to find all these things. Remember, what's the first step to do? You see this set. It goes 11, 10, 106, 114, 109, 114, 107. They're not in order yet. So you need to first put them into ascending. So you have 106, I see, is the smallest number, and then 109. So 107. You have 107, and then it's 110. So 109. What am I doing? 109, and then you'll have 110 and 2 114s. Alright, so there are 6 numbers. First, you need to find a mean. So mean, just keep in mind, it's the sum of the numbers divided by how many numbers there are. So you have 106 plus 107 plus 109 plus 110 plus 114. So you add them all up, divide by how many numbers there are, and there are 6 numbers. Oh, sorry. So that's equal to 110. So the mean is 110. Secondly, what's the mode? The mode is the most recurring number, and in this case, 114 occurs twice. So that's your number. Question C, find a median. So to find a median, I am going to use the second method because I need to reinforce it so that you remember it. So the position is n plus 1 over 2. So you have 6 plus 1 over 2. That will give you 3.5. What does that mean? It means I'm getting the average of the 3rd number and the 4th number. So the 3rd and the 4th numbers are 109 and 110, right? That means your median is equal to 109 plus 110 over 2. And this will give you 109.5. This is the median. Now question D. Range, like I said, it's the maximum, so this biggest number minus the minimum. Right? So the maximum number is 114 and the minimum number is 106. So the range for this set of data is 8. Okay, example 5. Find x if this set of data has a mean of 8, So how many numbers are in this set of data? There are 5 numbers, right? You have 10, 7, 3, 6, and x. And as you can see, when I find the mean, I don't necessarily have to put them in order yet, because it doesn't really matter. You're just adding the values up, right? So here it's also not necessary to put them into ascending if the question is just asking you to find the average, the mean. So it tells you this set of data has a mean of 8. So we know the formula, right? So mean is equal to the sum over how many numbers there are. So what's the sum? Sum is going to be equal to the total of these 5 numbers over however many numbers there are, and that's 5. And we know the mean is equal to 8. So this whole thing is equal to 8, right? How do I solve this equation? I think right now it looks complicated, but there are things that you can easily combine, which are the numbers 10, 7, 3, and 6. So you combine them, it will be 26 in total, plus x over 5. That's equal to 8. So now I can times both sides by 5. That will give you 8 times 5 is 40. So x is equal to 40 minus 26, which is 14. So that's your answer. When in doubt, you can always put it back into the equation and see if it holds. Our example 6, this is a stem leaf plot, right? I'm sure that you have seen it before, but let me just quickly touch on how you read these numbers. So on the stem, that's the starting digit. And on the leaf, that's whatever digit that's after it. But these are separate numbers, right? So we read it as 40, 42, 44, 46, 50, 53, 57, so on and so forth, all the way to 87. So it says first find a range. So the range is going to be the biggest number minus the smallest number, right? What's the biggest number here? The biggest number is going to be the last number. Even though it says it's 7 here, don't forget your stem. So it's 87 minus, the smallest number is this one, but it's 42. So that's going to give you 45. Alright, now the median. This is where it's difficult to find the median straight away, just by observation, right? Because there are a lot of numbers. So let's first count how many numbers there are in total. So that's 3, 9, 14, 18, 23. There are 23 numbers. So to find the median, we first find the position, n plus 1 over 2. So there are 23 numbers. 23 plus 1 over 2. It will give you 12. That means the 12th number is going to be your median. So let's count. So 1, 2, 3, always starting from the smallest number. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then I can circle it. This is the number where I end. That's the 12th number, which is 64. Our example 7 wants you to find range, mean, mode, and median for the frequency table. So it's, once again, slightly different, right? How you read this table is you go to the score and how many of them there are. So 12, there are 20 12s, there are 18 13s, there are 15 14s, so on and so forth, right? So the range is just the largest score minus the smallest score. The largest score is 17, the smallest score is 12, so the range is 17 minus 12, which is 5. And the mean, how do I find the mean here? I'll just shift the whole thing a bit to the right. So to find the mean, you need to first know the sum of everything over how many values there are, right? First of all, are there only 5 scores? Incorrect. There are 5 different scores, but then there are 20 of 12, 18 of 13, so there are definitely more than 5, right? Because you already have 20 scores for 12. So if you write this out, it's going to be 12, 12, 12, 20 times, and then 13, 13, 18 times, 14, something, something, for 15 times, and 15, 15, so on and so forth, right? So how do you find the total number of scores? What you do is you add up the frequencies. So you have 20 plus 18 plus 15 plus 17 plus 15 again. So it's 100 scores in total. All I did was I added all of them up. So that's going to give me 100. That means there are 100 scores. And then it's probably easier if you do another column called f times x. So that means frequency times x stands for the score. And now what you do is you do 12 times 20. Why do I do that? Because it says there are 20 12s, right? And I will need to work out the sum of everything. So I'll just work out the sum for every single score first. So there are 18 13s. That means do 13 times 18. And then you repeat that for everything. Two, 7, 2. Alright, so these are the f times x values that I have. How do I find the sum of them? That's pretty straightforward, right? You just add them up. So that's what I'm going to do. And that will give me 1436. So that means the sum of everything is 36, right? So that means on top of the fraction, I'm writing this value. So I have 1436. On the bottom, that's how many values we have in total, and that's 100 in total. So that will be 14.36. That's the mean. Alright, for mode. You need to look at the most recurring number, and obviously we have the frequencies 20, 18, 15, 17, and 15. So 20 is the most recurring, so the mode is equal to 12. Now for the median, to find a median in a frequency table, you need to add another column called cumulative frequency. So what's cumulative frequency? Cumulative means you're adding things up. So I'm going to write this down here. Cumulative I think it's a U here. Yeah. So it means you're accumulating everything, right? So at the start you have 20. And then for 13 there are 18 of them. So cumulatively you have 18 plus 12, 38. So that means up to 13 this score, up to the end of 13 there are 38 scores in total, right? And there are 15 14s. So do 15 plus 38. 53. And then you just do whatever this number is plus the number you had from previous. So 15 plus 53, that's 68. 68 plus 17, that's 85. And then 15 plus 85, it will give you 100. So now, that's, I guess it will take you some time to wrap your head around it. But then the way to think of it is we're just putting things all together, right? It's like you're making a building, for example. You do 1 story, 2 story, and then you stack them up. And that's going to stack up to 100 in total because you have in total 100 scores, right? So first of all, the position of the median. That's n plus 1 over 2. So position is equal to n plus 1 over 2, and there are 100 scores, and it will give you 50.5. So it means I'm getting the average of the 50th number and the 51st number. But how do I determine which numbers they are? That's where the cumulative frequency column comes into the picture. Sorry about that. So the 50th number, we see that at 13, there's 38 numbers. So up to 13, there's going to be 38 numbers, and it's finished. Starting the 39th number, it's going to be 14. Alright, so starting the 39th number, it's going to be 14, up until the 53rd number. They're all 14. And then starting the 54th number, it's going to be 15. So what are the 50th and the 51st numbers? We see that they're between 30 and 53, right? So it's going to be the 14th number. If you think it's a bit confusing, I would suggest that you first pause the video and just quickly analyze what I just said and refer to the table that we constructed and see if you understand it. If you don't, then jump on Zoom to ask me. But yeah, so the 50th and the 51st numbers are both 14. So that means the median is 14 plus 14 over 2, which is still equal to 14, right? I'm just doing the average thing for formality, really. So the median is 14. And yeah, that's everything I need. So now I want you to pause the video for a little bit and try to do example 8 yourself using the same method that I applied for example 8. So these are the answers that I got. The range is 5, the mean is 49.73, the mode is 50, and the median is 50. So once again, whenever you're given a frequency table, it's definitely useful if you add 2 extra columns yourself. So fx means score times frequency, cf is cumulative frequency. So I want you to have a careful look before you attempt today's homework. Today's homework is going to be 901 1 to 8 booklet. This is going to be the first page. You're doing questions 1 to 7 on this page, and then 8 is on the next page. There's a tally thing. It really just tells you exactly how many numbers there are, right? So you read this as 3 numbers, and one thing is 5. So there are 5 twos. For 3, there are 5 plus 4, 9 scores. So the tally part isn't that important. It just tells you, how many things there are. So it's telling the frequency indirectly. So, and then for a question like 6, it tells you class center, right? So it tells you the class first of all. So the scores from 0 to 10, maybe the numbers are too various. So they're just going to say, okay, so the class center, which is the average of 0 and 10, 0 plus 10 equals over 2 equals 5, right? So the average of this class center is 5, 15, 25, 35, and 45. So you're using the class center to do all these questions. But maybe we'll go into class center a bit more in detail later on. Alright, so that's the end of today's lesson. If you have any questions, make sure that you ask me on Zoom. Thank you.